بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So I want to talk about the issue of the Mawlid, right, or the Meelad as they call it in Urdu. Right? So obviously, the month of Rabiul Awwal and the month of the birth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be on him. So he's obviously someone, one of the most important personalities in our lives, right? So after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the question, obviously, this is a disputed issue, and a lot of people say that it's bid'ah, and they're very quite blunt about it, and they're like, it's haram. Recently, you know, I I heard someone say this in a khutbah. So so when I heard someone say this in front of me, I confronted them and I talked to them that we shouldn't be saying that this is a bid'ah and haram. Like, haram is a very strong word, right? Yes, the question is Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, they did not celebrate it, right? We need things. We are living in a different time. We need the ummah sometimes need things that they did not need to sustain their spirituality. And especially the fact that we're losing our connection with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the reason that we should celebrate this, not in a way that is typically done, and people sometimes ignore the salah also because of that. So talking about his life, you talk to the youth, like the person who's saying it's a bid'ah among the young generation. Most of the people don't know anything or very little about the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we need to definitely celebrate this in a decent manner and not be extreme about it. Like if you're celebrating it, then don't consider the people who are not celebrating this as bad people or extremists, right? If you're not celebrating it, don't call it like haram, and then you become a bid'ati and then people go to extremes. Don't go to that extreme. If you're celebrating it, that's good enough. Celebrate it in a decent manner, and then if you're not celebrating it, just don't celebrate it. Fast. The Prophet ﷺ, obviously this is a special day. The Prophet ﷺ used to fast on Mondays, and in the hadith it's mentioned that when he was asked for the reason, he said that it's one of the reasons were that because he was born on that day. So again, there are a lot of things that the ummah has done to sustain their spirituality. For example, the fact that we have 30 sections of the Quran. That's for convenience, right? We have the Prophet ﷺ, there were no institutes at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the institutes of hadith and tafsir. Quran was not in a book form. A lot of the things were done afterwards. And obviously when the Sahaba, the Khulafa al-Rashidin did it, they were obviously endorsed by the Prophet ﷺ. But when someone else does it, you have to be the most important thing. I've discussed this in my video on the bid'ah, that if you just have to be careful that anything new that you introduce, right, does not couple with the religion in a way that it appears to be part of the religion, right? Like, for example, if you want to do dhikr in a group, you can do it. Just don't make it compulsory, right? And don't do it right after prayers. Like you do it in a decoupled way, in a way that appears to be decoupled from the original deen. And if it does start coupling with the religion, the ulama, it's the responsibility of the ulama that they point it out in the on the minbar and then educate people, right? Restricting everything, right? The people want to be creative, then it's just going to be too strict. This makes Islam too strict and rigid, and then this is one of the reasons why our next generation become frustrated and they start going away from the religion because they think it's too strict. The phenomena that is happening in some of the Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, and some of the groups of people who are too extreme in the previous generations, their generations are leaving this religion faster than other people. So in other words, we don't want to make Islam too rigid and not too flexible. That's obviously the responsibility of the ulama, that they wanna keep educating people. If they think that something is coupling with the religion, then people are considering it compulsory, whereas it is not. Right. So that's the point, right? We don't want to be too extreme. Let people celebrate it. And then if you think that it's not part of the, you can discuss your own arguments. No one is stopping anyone to discuss arguments. Just don't be too extreme and the ISIS type thinking and the Khawarij type thinking, where you become too extreme and you consider them bid'ati and they become kafirs, and you're allowed to kill them. That chain of thought has destroyed our previous generation and caused political chaos. So you don't want to go to that path. Similarly, people who celebrate it, they should not also be extreme and look down upon people who are not celebrating it. So let's keep a balance and not be too extreme about the two things. So as I was saying, we have done things in the Ummah in the history that we have considered necessary, although they were not done in the previous generations of the early generations of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum and the Tabi'in or the Tabi' Tabi'in radiallahu anhum ajma'in wa rahimahumullah. So that's the criteria. Like, and the other question is, again, that logic that I talked about. If Islam goes to a new region, right, what does Islam do to the culture of that region? Right? It's a philosophical question, right? Is Islam going to go and delete everything in that culture? No, Islam doesn't do that. Islam is going to keep the things that do not couple with its fundamentals, and then so that you sustain some of the culture of that region, right? You don't want to just go and start obviously, we don't ask people to wear the kandura, right, or the thawb that the Arabs wear, right? Islam has to be, there has to be some flexibility in Islam. So if now people celebrate birthdays, if they get excited about the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ, then you just let them celebrate it. Just teach them how to do it in a decent manner and not be extreme. Yeah, we can always get the examples of the Christians, because they removed every other celebration and replaced that with the Mawlid of their prophet, Isa alayhi salam. So we have to, these are the things that we need to educate people, not be extreme, not give this as an example to say that it's haram. It's just this is all part of education, that Islam is a very philosophical religion. We need to teach people how to be philosophical and not be extreme in these things. And if you do celebrate the Mawlid, one suggestion to the people who are English speaking, that try to, like, so one of the things, that's the third point that I want to make, third or fourth point, so that the people who are celebrating it, right, the previous generation, I've been to like the Mawlid celebration, and then they do it like they bring, like, for example, their Pakistani parents, their kids hardly speak any Urdu, right? They prefer English, but the nasheed, the person who's singing the nasheed, he's doing it in Urdu, right? So they don't relate to that. We need to have a lot of nasheeds in English and make our kids read the nasheeds, because they connect with their language, right? The kids, their language is not Urdu. They don't think in Urdu, they think in English. So we need to have a big resource of English nasheeds about the Prophet ﷺ, and also praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something you should think about. Encourage your kids to write nasheeds for the Prophet ﷺ in English. Have a summary of the life of the Prophet discussed on the Mawlid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sins and accept our prayers. Just keep smiling, keep learning, and keep praying. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi.